Good day, everyone. We will be having our interview here at the SPE building together with our chosen teacher, Miss VC de la Cruz.
Good afternoon, Miss.
How are you, Miss?
I'm doing good. How's your day, Miss? It's kind of exhausting because today and the Thursday scheduled for the examination. But I hope everything would go well in this interview. But first, thank you so much for having me as your chosen English teacher.
So, are you ready, Miss?
Yes, I am.
But before we dive in, we will introduce first the 6 different kinds of theories that will be introduced by each of my colleagues.
So first, Miss, is the behaviorist theory. So the behaviorist theory states that language can be learned through imitation onto its environment and direct stimuli and soft responses.
So, we have next, Miss, is the nativist theory of language acquisition, which is proposed by Noam Chomsky in 1960, asserts that a human are born with innate ability to learn language. This theory based on the concept of LAD, or language acquisition device, a instinctive mental structure that enables infant to learn, acquire, and produce language. Additionally, Chomsky introduced UG, or universal grammar, which suggests that all language are shared in a common set of underlying grammatical structure that are naturally recognized by humans.
Alright, so the third theory is the interactionist social theory. Proposes that language exists for the purpose of communication and can only be learned in the context of interaction with adults and other children. It stresses the importance of the environment and culture in which the language is being learned.
So the fourth theory is cognitive theory, explores the inner workings of human mind, focusing on mental processes like memory, attention, perception, and problem solving. It emphasizes how this process shape our understanding of the world and influence our activity.
The fifth theory is connectionist theory by Edward Thorndike. Is a theory learning based on the stimulus response framework of behavioral psychology. It suggests that learning occurs through the information of association between stimuli and distances. These associations are strengthened by rewards and by punishment of lack of practices. There are 3 pillars of Thorndike connectionist theory. Number 1, law of effect. Second, law of readiness, and law of exercise.
So the 6th theory, or the last theory, is mental development theory. It emphasizes the role of social interaction and cultural influences in shaping a child's learning process. He proposed that learning occurs within the zone of proximal development, or ZPD, the difference between what a child can do alone and what they can achieve with guidance. Through scaffolding, more knowledgeable individuals, teacher, parents, or peers provide support that gradually decreases the learner gains independence.
So, as you have some idea, or you have an idea about the different theory of language development. So, as an English teacher, do you believe students undergo language development?
Yes, I believe that students undergo language development because the language acquisition or the language development of the student is nurtured or developed not only at home but also inside the classroom on how the teachers systemizes the language delivery, the language acquisition of the students, and also on how students would nurture or hone their skills when it comes to their language acquisitions through their cognitive development as as well as through their social interaction.
So based on some theories or based on the theories, Miss, what kind of theories are you giving?
Well, all theories that you have shared are actually, effective. But as for me, on my personal take as an English teacher, I greatly use the social interactionist theory. Because, even before I started teaching, back when I was in college, I was also one of the, hesitant students. I was not really into speaking. I had this terrible stage fright, and I was not really fluent when it comes to the language itself. But through thorough interaction with my classmates, feedbacking, if you help yourself acquire language because you really want to learn to use it and to have it develop, it will just come naturally. And when I started teaching, I noticed, inside the classroom setting is naturally diverse. Okay, students have their different capabilities. Students, what we call multiple intelligences. There are those who learn a lot better when they're moving. There are those who learn a lot better when it comes to physical activities. But social interaction for me really helps a student to have their development in language be more nurtured. For example, when you give a student an application or a literary analysis output, you let them read a text selection and then ask for their analysis, ask for their understanding about the selection text. You will know better how far they have learned from the selection text if you will hear it from them. Like for me, reading their analysis through essay is not enough. I have to hear it from them. Because once you give the feedback, of course the constructive feedback to the student, they would feel that everything that they have learned will never go unnoticed. And whatever rooms for improvement there are, they will cope with it and they will do better the next time. So social interactionist in a diverse classroom setting is, for me, very effective, especially when teaching language.
Which choose the social interaction is? The question is which one or what is the basis of your teaching styles in social interaction?
What do you mean basis? It comes to the social interactionist theory. You mean how I teach the language through social interaction. Okay. So let me just further give an example. Let's say recently I taught grade 10 the approaches in literary criticism. And before that, I had them read the story of Prometheus in Greek mythology. And there were probing questions for them to answer, for me to see their understanding on the text or on the literary piece that I had them read. So, for social interaction, I prepared games. Okay, I would often, my students would always label me as a teacher whom they would look forward every week because there will always be games. But of course, these games are relative to our class. So I would have them, I would indulge them to language games. For example, they will be grouped. No, I will divide the class class into separate groups and then give them the mechanics. The questions would be about the text that they have read, and then they would brainstorm all together. And well, brainstorming is already social interaction. But then again, since our class is English, I make sure that 80% of the class we will observe English only policy, because that is also one way of enhancing their skills when it comes to language development. So there would be games that they will brainstorm. After they brainstorm, they will have to defend their answer, and then the group that has the highest score would be announced as the winner, and the winner would have their reward. And this reward would actually give them a lot more confidence and a lot more motivation to do their best for the next activities. It's very important that when teaching inside the classroom, especially in English, especially that language is evolving, you don't just stand there, you don't just give them all the theories. No, let them speak, let them share their thoughts. And if by chance the student did not meet your standard when it comes to the language development, let them practice through constructive feedback. Do not be the sole reason why a student would have limiting belief and would lower their self-confidence. Because as teachers and as future teachers yourselves, you have to be the frontliner on how students would be motivated enough to develop their skills when it comes to the use of English, especially in communication.
So, the last question, Miss, is what activity do you usually in connection with identified theory? So,
Identified theory. Usually activities, okay. You have mentioned a while ago that humans are born with the innate ability to understand language. And while we are growing up, our knowledge is spiral. What you have learned when you were in grade 8, you will learn again that topic or that lesson when you reach grade 9, but on a deeper context. What you have learned on your 8th grade and 9th grade will be learned again on another level when you reach grade 10. So meaning the blueprint on their cognitive domain already has the idea on what the word is, what does the word mean, etc. So what I do, if there are selection texts that students need to read, first I would unlock difficulty in words. So for example, I will post the words, and then there are statements provided with context clues, and then they will identify the meaning of the word based on the context clues. So that when they, by the time that they will read already the selection text, they will not have the difficulty in understanding what the word is, because prior to that they have understood it. And well, then after which, someone mentioned a while ago that language is acquired through real life application. Well, that is actually true, especially when giving them performance tasks. So when you give them performance tasks, I make sure that I have the basis of grasp, wherein I give them the goal, and then I give them specifically what their roles are, who their audience will be, okay, what the situation is, etc., so that they will relate it to what really is happening in the society. Because knowledge that is applied and seen in the real world scenario becomes wisdom of the student. So that's why I really believe that the learning of the student should not be limited within the four corners of the classroom. It should be applied on